Hi everyone, welcome to Enjoy English. I'm Steven.
大家好，我是 Bernice.
Today's date is November 3rd. For the next 2 days, please refer to pages 8 to 11 under celebrations.
我们接下来讲全球节庆咯。
Yeah, the title today might shock you a bit because it has a word that has been seen to be quite negative and dark. The Day of the Dead, honoring life through death.
果然啊，有一点比较负面的这个含义啊，讲的是这个亡灵节。我们知道这个 the 后面加上形容词，就是泛指所有这样子类型的人，所以 the dead 就是 the dead people， 那就是这一天呢，要来替这一些过世的人、去世的人做的一个节庆。但这个节庆呢，是要来纪念，然后用死亡来纪念他们的生命。
Guided by flowers.Remembered by hearts.
没错，所以它会由花来 guide 来引领你，然后用你的心来好好把它记住。
Let's find out more about the Day of the Dead.
The Day of the Dead, honoring life through death. Everyone who lives will someday die. This is a hard truth that we come to understand over time.Every culture in the world has its own customs for coming to terms with the natural cycle of life and death. In Mexico, one of the most important holidays is the Day of the Dead. The Day of the Dead usually takes place on November 1st and 2nd and is widely observed in Mexico, where the tradition largely originated and developed.This holiday is very important to the people there, as it is an opportunity to remember and celebrate loved ones who have passed away. The most important part of the Day of the Dead is the home altar, which families create together. These altars are decorated with bright yellow marigolds, photos of the dead, and the favorite foods and drinks of the one being honored. People believe these offerings help guide the spirits of the dead back to earth through prayers, the scent of flowers, and the joyful atmosphere. During this time, the living can enjoy warm memories and look back on the moments they once shared with their loved
ones.Everyone who lives will someday die. This is a hard truth that we come to understand over time.
第一句话好沉重啊，对不对哈？第一句话就讲了，每一个人啊，只要活着的人，你总有一天会再见的。会拜拜的，会死亡的啊，这个所以很沉重嘛，对不对？就是一开头会让人家觉得啊，进入到一个很沉重的一个话题里面。那它后面加了一个分号的原因是为什么呢？因为这是两个句子，你两个句子中间缺乏连接词，分号就是其中的一种连接词。他说呢，这个 this 指的就是前面这句话，就是啊，每一个人活着其实总有一天啦，你就会死去了的这样子的一件事情呢，是一个 hard truth。是一个觉得让我们觉得还蛮残酷的一个这个事实啊。那什么样的事实呢？他用冠带来形容这个事实，就是 we come to understand， 就是我们会慢慢的随着时间去了解到的。
Yeah, so come to do something means that it doesn't happen right away. It takes some time to do this particular action. So coming to understand over death is a hard truth that will take time to understand.And then the 你刚刚说那个叫什么这个 semicolon
对，分号
So in English we call it semicolon or semicolon SEMICOLON. All right, so it's a good way to separate two independent clauses or two complete sentences that are very closely related. So having a period there would not be incorrect.But since they're so directly related, a semicolon would be better in writing.
对，因为尤其在一个句子，如果它一整个句子其实是在讲同一个概念，尽量不要就直接句点，你会把这个读者的那个感觉好像中断了，所以用一个分号会比较好的。
Yes, and then here, everyone who lives will someday die. You could also say everyone who lives will one day die. Okay, but someday is just saying 某一天. Okay, a day that we're not too sure which day. Okay. Every culture in the world has its own customs for coming to terms with the natural cycle of life and death.
他就讲了每一个呢，在世界上每一种的这个文化呢，都有它自己本身的一些 customs。我们知道 customs 这个字呢，就是表示一个地方它因为它的历史的传统啦，然后呢就会保留下来一些他们的习俗哈，或者是一些所谓的风俗。所以这时候我们就说了，每一个世界上的每一种文化都有它自己本身独特的这样的习俗。这个习俗是干什么的呢？要来 come to terms with 这个片语还蛮不错的，大家可以把它记起来。这 come to term with 就是说，逐渐的去接受一些，通常都是说你要去逐渐接受一些你原本觉得比较不太好接受的东西。好，所以这个句子就是说你要来逐渐接受呢，生死这样它其实是有一个自然循环，就是有人会生，每一天都有人会出生，但是也会有人死去。
Yes. So yeah, coming to terms with something usually means you have to accept something that is not so easy to accept. Usually we talk about when someone passes away or dies, you have to come to terms with this fact or this reality. It takes some time and effort for you to get over it. Okay? In Mexico, one of the most important holidays is the Day of the Dead.
所以今天这个句子就开始讲到我们这一个主题了。他就说呢，其实在墨西哥呢就有一个这个最重要的一个节日，那么这个节日的名字就叫亡灵节。
Yeah, so I like how this sentence starts out with in Mexico. So we know that we're going to talk about a particular region when it comes to the way they think about life and death. So immediately we know we're going to talk about Mexico. And then the end of the sentence talks about Day of the Dead, which is all capitalized except for of and the, because this is the name of the holiday. Okay, and then the way that this sentence ends, you know that the next paragraph is going to start talking about the Day of the Dead and what it is about. So, but obviously sometimes when authors, they might not be so focused, they might say something like this, and then the next paragraph, they talk about something else. So then you have to think about from the reader or the listener's point of view, does your essay make sense? Are you writing in a way that is very easy to follow? So if we're ending talking about Day of the Dead, the next part should be about Day of the Dead.
对，没错，所以自己我们在练习写文章也是这样，我们要考虑到读者，不能作者只考虑到自己想写什么就写什么，那读者有的时候会抓不到你的要写的这样主要的意思是什么。所以像这个 Stephen 老师就会觉得说，这篇文章写得很好，因为他最后一句就已经带出来了，有墨西哥，有亡灵节，可见呢，读者就可以预测下一段就是讲墨西哥的亡灵节。
Yes, all right, let's take a short break.
好的。
The Day of the Dead usually takes place on November 1st and 2nd and is widely observed in Mexico, where the tradition largely originated and developed.
好，第一个句子很长哦。好，他就说了，亡灵节这样的一个节庆呢，通常来说啦，就是表示它不总是，有的时候可能会有一些改变，但通常来说呢，它 take place 我们就知道是 hold 是举行的意思。它主要的举行的时间呢，基本上都是落在这个11月的1号跟2号这2天。而且它是在整个墨西哥都是 widely 广泛，就整个墨西哥通通所有的人，大家都会来做 observe。很多人说，老师 observe 不是观察的意思吗？怎么在这边会是这个庆祝的意思呢？其实呢 observe 它本身也有庆祝的意思，不过它这个庆祝跟 celebrate 有一点点的不太一样。我们用的 observe 它是一个比较中性一点的庆祝，例如像比如说以台湾来讲，我们有清明节，那我们不能说我们要 celebrate 清明节，因为这是对死去的人的一种敬畏的一个方式的一个纪念的方式。所以呢，像这个墨西哥的亡灵节，他们也是对于过世的人的一种纪念。所以你不能说你活着的人好开心哦，你们通通都拜拜了，都不在了。所以我们不太用 celebrate 这个，用 observe 这个字比较中性一点。好，所以一样是表示庆祝，所以在整个墨西哥它都广泛的庆祝。 而且呢，墨西哥是个什么样的地方呢 ？Where， 所以这个 where 当然是讲墨西哥咯。这个地方呢，他们的传统，墨西哥的传统呢，其实呢是 largely 最主要的，好，这个 originated 发展的地方。发源的地方以及它是发展的地方。
Yes. So here, Bernice also mentioned that you could say in the beginning of the sentence, the Day of the Dead usually is held on November 1st. Another verb you can use is occur. O-C-C-U-R. Usually occurs on November 1st and 2nd. So when you're talking about a date and when this particular thing happens, we'll use the preposition on November 1st and 2nd. 记得那个日期也是要第一天、第二天 okay? November 1st and 2nd. Okay? And here also the adverb largely, another word you can use is mostly originated and developed. Okay? This holiday is very important to the people there, as it is an opportunity to remember and celebrate loved ones who have passed away.
那么这一个节日呢，其实呢，对于在墨西哥的人来说呢，是非常非常重要的节日。为什么呢 ？As 这个 as 就是 because， 因为这个节日呢，它其实是一种机会。什么样的机会呢？去 remember 缅怀，并且去 celebrate， 就是我们刚刚讲，你要去庆祝你的 loved ones， 你的所谓自己你很爱的那些人，也就是你的亲人啦。而且这些人呢是已经过世了，所以记得那个 who 后面我们要用现在完成式，因为它已经这个事情是已经的事实，所以 have passed away。那 pass away 就是过世一个比较委婉的讲法。
Yes. So here, this holiday is very important to the people there. We're talking about in Mexico because we're not in Mexico, so we have to say there. Okay? So this author could have said, this holiday is very important to the people in Mexico, but maybe they believe that Mexico was already used too much. So using there is a good option as well, so it doesn't sound repetitive. As it is a chance to remember. So you can use chance instead of opportunity. C-H-A-N-C-E. Okay, 一个机会. And celebrate loved ones. Loved ones can be your family, can be your friends, can be your lover. Anyone who you loved is a loved one. Okay, and then we can use the verb here instead of celebrate, honor. H-O-N-O-R. And honor loved ones who have passed away. Pass away is a good way to say die because you don't want it to sound so abrasive. Sometimes people think the word die can be a little bit too strong. So pass away is a good option as well.
没错。
All right, let's take a short break.
好的。
Okay, the most important part of the Day of the Dead is the home altar, which families create together.
接下来他就开始讲说，在这个节庆里面有一个很重要的部分呢，好，到底是什么呢？他就开始介绍了。他说，其实亡灵节里面有一个很重要的部分，就是它会有一个坛，他们叫灵坛。这个坛是怎么来的呢？你可以看到后面那个 which 前面加上了逗点，因为这个 which 特别就是指他们墨西哥为了亡灵节所建出来的这一个坛，这个祭坛啊，所以这个祭坛呢是所有的家人大家一起创建的。
Yes, so here I want to call attention to the way that this paragraph is set up. In the first paragraph, it ended talking about the Day of the Dead. It introduced this holiday. And then paragraph 2, it was easy to know that it was going to start talking about Day of the Dead. For the third paragraph, the first sentence starts out a new topic. So you don't always have to end the previous paragraph introducing what the next paragraph is going to say. Sometimes you can use the first sentence of the next paragraph, the new paragraph, to introduce a new idea. All right? These altars are decorated with bright yellow marigolds, photos of the dead, and the favorite foods and drinks of the one being honored.
接下来这个句子他就要讲了，墨西哥他们针对亡灵节进来最重要的部分就是他们这个灵坛。那这个灵坛它是怎么样去把它这个改建出来的，怎样搭建出来的呢？所以他就说了，这些灵坛呢其实本身是 be decorated with， 就是用什么东西来装饰的。它装饰的东西呢，有非常鲜亮颜色的，这个鲜黄色的叫万寿菊，好，这颜色非常的漂亮。 然后呢，接着呢，还有就是去世的人的照片啊，你当然要把它摆出来了。然后接下来呢，就是这些去世的人，他们最喜欢以前在这个在世的时候，他们最喜欢吃的一些食物啦，还有一些饮料啦，哈。那对于呢这些人来说，通常都是被，就是 being one，the one 就是那一个过世的人 being honored。我们这边为什么要用 being 呢？因为我们知道这边是一个分词构句，你前面已经有一个动词，你后面再来一个动词，所以这时候你要一个 being。对于这一些要被怀念、被纪念的人，他们最喜欢的食物跟饮料也会用来装饰。
Yeah, 你可以说 being celebrated as well. Here, this sentence, you see bright yellow marigolds. Well, usually we will use the, if you have two adjectives and this one of them is a color, we usually have the color closer to the noun. So you see bright yellow marigolds. And marigolds, even though it has an I, that I is pronounced with the sound. Marigolds. I have heard people say marigolds, so it's not entirely incorrect, but the more appropriate way is marigolds. Okay, and then if we didn't have a color, and we had another adjective instead, we would have to use a comma to separate the two non-color adjectives. Let's say we had beautiful. I would say bright, comma, beautiful marigolds, okay? But this might be confusing because there is a list going on. We have bright yellow marigolds, photos of the dead, and the favorite foods and drinks of the one being honored. So then I think it's better not to have too many commas to cause less confusion for the reader. So also pay attention to the things being listed. They're all nouns. Sometimes people, they might want to list things, but then they'll have like a verb, and then they'll have a noun, and then they'll have, it gets confusing. So make sure the things in the list are all of the same types of speech.
对，老师的意思就是说呢，在这个句子里面，因为他刚刚要讲的是这些祭坛、这些灵坛装饰被用什么东西来装饰，他后面讲的都是一串的名词，所以有的时候呢，我们会加一些逗点来让这些名词你可以看得很清楚哦，有哪一些名词。还有老师就是提醒说，你在用了一串的名词，不要你的做的这个 list 就是你要列出来它后面所祭祀的东西或装饰的东西，不要一下又动词又名词又形容词乱七八糟的，就是维持同一个它的词性。
Yeah, and then photos of the dead. That's a way to say photos of the person who has passed away, but that takes a lot of words, right?
对。
So it's appropriate to say the dead. It sounds a little bit negative if you think death is kind of a dark thing, but it's just a good way to say it, and it's shorter. Photos of the dead, and it's appropriate to say that. And the favorite foods and drinks. So I hear a lot of people say, I thought you can't put S at the end of food. Yes, usually when you're talking about food, the plural form, it is food, right? But here we're talking about different food items or different food choices. That's why it's appropriate to have an S in this situation.
没错，这个食物这个字呢，如果你今天没有特别的指定哪一种食物，那基本上我们说每天吃的食物就是 food。可是如果今天你有强调我今天吃的是什么食物，什么时候种类的不一样，或者是像他这边他在祭祀的时候，他可能放不一样类型的这样的食物，那这时候当然可以加 S 了。
Yes. People believe these offerings help guide the spirits of the dead back to earth through prayers, the scent of flowers, and the joyful atmosphere.
好啦，所以呢，在墨西哥的人们为什么用这样的方式，好，在装点他们的这一些所谓的祭坛呢，或者是灵坛呢？就是他们认为呢，这些的祭品，这个 offerings 就是他们的祭品，他们的祭品呢，可以有助于呢引导这些所谓的 spirits。那我们当然知道，这些 spirits 就是这些所谓过世的人，他们的灵体，可以引导这些灵体呢，尤其是这个死亡的灵体 back to earth。他把这个 earth 做了大写，就是要告诉你说，他讲的是我们的人间，我们的这个地球的这个土地。好，所以他把它大写了，就可以引导这些去世的人的灵体回归到我们的人间。透过什么来让他们回来呢 ？Prayers 啊，记得要加 S， 就是我们的一些祷告啦，还有呢 ，the scent of flowers 花的香味啦，所以这个 scent 特别就是讲这个东西啊，好的一个或人也可以的一个香味。那当然你也可以用 fragrance F-R-A-G-R-A-N-C-E 也是可以的，好，并且呢还有一个东西就是欢乐的氛围，他不希望说这些过世的人回到了我们这个人间的时候呢，还是大家在那边哭哭啼啼的，所以他用一种比较 joyful， 就是 very happy 的意思的一种氛围。
Yeah. So here, offerings, the verb that is closely related to this noun is offered, okay? And that means to give, right? So offerings are things that you give. And they help guide or help lead, L-E-A-D, help lead the spirits of the dead back to earth. Spirits is a good way to say ghost, okay? Because usually ghosts have a very negative connotation. They sound scary, but we're talking about people that we loved that have passed away. So spirit might be a better choice in this sentence, but they can be used interchangeably.
Yeah.
Okay. And here we see through prayers, through the scent of flowers, and through the joyful atmosphere. Everything after through is part of through. So 透过这些东西. But in Chinese, we usually would say like 我们是透过这些东西
Yeah.
让引导他们回来. So
Yeah.
we're kind of opposite in the way
没
that we
错，就是英文跟中文的顺序会有点不太一样。
Yeah, but usually though we like to keep, you know, like 透过什么样的东西 at the end of the sentence. And especially here because there's a list of different things, it's more clear to put it at the end of the sentence.
Yeah.
透过这些东西. And 透过我们是用介系词 through,
Yes.
okay? Through prayers, the scent of flowers, and the joyful atmosphere. Just know when you're composing English sentences, it's not always going to be directly translated from Chinese. You have
没错。
to know what the subject of the sentence is, and then each action is separated by like a preposition or a phrase that can make the sentence clear without losing the meaning. Okay. During this time, the living can enjoy warm memories and look back on the moments they once shared with their loved ones.
好，那么这一段呢，它的最后一句就说了 during this time 是什么意思？什么 time 啊？就是在这个他们回到人间，然后呢，他们的家人所帮他们搭建的这个灵坛，装饰着他们所喜欢的东西呢，就在这样的一个期间呢，那这时候 the living 就是这些活着的人一样的 living people。活着的人呢，也可以去享受到那种很温暖的一些回忆，就去缅怀说，我曾经跟这一位去世过的亲人或朋友曾经共度的一些回忆，并且呢，可以好好的 look back on， 就是指呢，你会回顾嘛，因为你要回想曾经你们所共度的一些 moment， 这样的一些时光。而什么样的时光呢 ？That they once shared， 中间省略了这个冠带。他们曾经所一起共享的这种美好的时光，跟谁呢？跟他们曾经爱过的这些亲人。
Yes, and I do want to call attention on words that end with an M sound. For instance, time. It doesn't end with an M, but the E is silent, right?
Yeah.
And also warm. I have a lot of students when they have M sounds, they don't necessarily do this action,
I
which
know.
is okay? So they might go war memories, okay? 很像听起来像打战的回忆
War,
right?
对。
但是一定要把嘴巴闭起来，如果 M 是在后面
Yes.
okay? Warm. Okay, warm memories, and during this time, okay, 那个是声音一定要出来。Look back on, you could also say recall, R-E-C-A-L-L. Okay, 这个时候就不用 on, say recall the moments they once shared, or think back to the moments they once shared. These are all different options to say that you're thinking back to that time,
Yeah.
recalling that time. Okay? All right, so tomorrow we're going to learn more about the Day of the Dead. We hope to see you then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.